All Americans should pay attention to what I'm about to say and the comment that Jamie Dimon made around the bond market is about to crack. It's very, very important that you're not trying to get rich in crypto, but truly understanding inflationary assets and deflationary and how the bond market affects all of this. If you don't understand money supply and bond markets, you're going to be a victim of these markets every single time. Jamie Dimon just stated that the bond market is about to crack. Well, let's explain what that means and how it affects your portfolio and how you can build massive amounts of wealth by understanding inflationary and deflationary assets. So Jamie Dimon stated the bond market is about to crack. We just had a bond auction not too long ago. Nobody showed up to the bond auction. Bonds are the American monetary system. It's a monetization of debt. Every single dollar you own is someone else's debt. The reason why we're in such a dangerous position in America right now is because we're at 130% debt to income ratio. It's very different than our grandparents and our parents' economy. We have more debt than we have income. So every dollar you get paid in, you get paid in another person's debt. And what we do is we take our debt and we go get loans, which is someone else's income, and we borrow against our future selves, keeping us trapped in this perpetual debt cycle. Then the debt that we get paid in, we get taxed on, so they get us through inflation or taxation, which inflation is illegal taxation. So they tax us on our income, then they tax us when we use our income, and they're only giving us someone else's debt. So you work 40 hours a week away from your family, and you're paid in someone else's debt that you get taxed on. So you're in an enslavement trap. And this is why the elites are moving into Bitcoin. This is why I use Bitcoin and XRP, because they're deflationary. Let me explain. So what is going to happen now, this is my opinion, and I believe this is what they're going to do. The bond market is screwed right now. They're going to turn the printing machine on full blast. They're going to dwarf 2020 to 2022 printing of money and debt monetization, which is not good for your US dollar. And they're going to grow their way out of this economy. It's going to be a golden era. Americans are going to have more money than they've ever had in their pockets, but Americans, because we don't have financial literacy and we're indoctrinated to be enslaved in the system, as we're going to buy flat screen TVs, we're going to buy cars, we're going to buy iPhones, we're going to buy a bunch of shit we can't afford to impress people we don't even like, when we should be transmuting every single bit of cash and extra cash in our pocket to deflationary assets, to protection and leverage, richest man in Babylon, and cash flow quadrant. So the reason why elites and governments around the world, whether you believe it or not, are moving into Bitcoin because it's deflationary. So when they turn the printing machine on to make sure the bond market doesn't collapse, because basically they turned the printing machine on already when nobody showed up to the bond auction and they started buying bonds. So they print their own money, fake money, and they buy debt. That's not good for your pay. So you're working your ass off and your money's being devalued every single time you wake up. So they're going to lower interest rates, they're going to monetize debt, they're going to print money. But here's the difference in the economy. We've never been in a position where we have a new asset class that is deflationary. Bitcoin, XRP, and other assets are deflationary. The difference is they have a fixed supply. Bitcoin only has 21 million. XRP has 100 billion. Now it has a lot more because of its utility. It's a bridge currency. But every time a transaction runs across XRP, it burns. So it's mechanistically designed to be deflationary, and Bitcoin's designed mechanistically to be deflationary with fixed supplies, so you can't just print it like the US dollar. So that's why Trump is pro-Bitcoin. That's why he put it on the balance sheet with the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That's why the top of the White House is all pro-Bitcoin. That's why Howard Lutnick runs Cantor, which is a Bitcoin company, and built a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, and they're building a sovereign wealth fund. They're going to have a bag of currencies, cryptocurrencies. What they're going to do is, I believe, this is my opinion, they're going to revalue gold. They're going to take that revaluation. They're going to monetize that debt, or that revaluation. They're going to buy Bitcoin with it. They're going to diversify just like I did and rebalance the balance sheet. Bitcoin goes up 50% every year. So now you have an asset that's deflationary, that's growing, and they're going to pump money into this economy, and they're going to grow faster than the debt. So they're going to grow GDP faster than the debt. And that's why BlackRock, the largest asset manager, flipped and is the number 2 holder in Bitcoin. That's why Michael Saylor and Strategy B is not only buying tons of Bitcoin, but borrowing against the Bitcoin to buy more. That's why CZ from Binance is traveling around the world. This is his words. And he said, Trump is a businessman and they're going all in on Bitcoin. And I'm traveling around the world teaching countries how to keep up with America. So America is going to become the crypto capital of the world. They're going to pump more money into this economy than they ever have before. And this is the opportunity for Americans to understand that the US dollar is inflationary. It's not backed by anything. It's fake currency. They're going to bring in stable coins. They're going to monetize treasuries to stabilize the economy and tokenize them. They're going to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And they're going to pump a ton of money into this economy and bring the public and private sector together. Now, that's where we come in right here if you're still here. That's what we did. We saw this very early in 2020. We got made fun of, we got ridiculed, and I focused heavily on XRP, and then I started getting into Bitcoin. But when I profited from 2020 to 2022, everybody bought Lambos, watches, houses, and I bought cash-generating businesses. Cash flow, number one. I took that cash flow when the markets collapsed, and I pumped my cash flow into deflationary assets, hence Bitcoin and XRP and other cryptocurrencies that are deflationary fixed supplies. Well, I had conviction and I stuck with it. Bear market 2022, 2023, Trump comes in and runs as a crypto capital of the world. Boom! My XRP shoots up 600%. My Bitcoin shot up 195%. So I took my deflationary or inflationary US dollar that lost 19% of its value and I transmuted it into 600% gain on XRP and 195% on Bitcoin. And throughout that process, I created more cash flow with dividend ETF strategies. I created protection with cash value life insurance. So some of my profits are insured, guaranteed floor. I can grow it tax-free, take it out tax-free, and I can pass it down tax-free. And then I'm able to use leverage like the elites do. I have a Bitcoin bank now that I'm never selling my Bitcoin. I just leveraged my Bitcoin at 14% to buy an insurance firm. The insurance firm will pay it off in 10 months, but my Bitcoin grew by 50% every year, and I made 36% on my loan. That's why Jamie Dimon tells you to run as fast as you can from Bitcoin, because if you have Bitcoin and you have deflationary assets like XRP, Bitcoin, and some of these cryptocurrencies, DeFi is coming in and you're your own bank. Of course, they don't want you to have it, but they'll let you buy and sell it, but he doesn't believe in it because it's against the traditional banking system. So pay attention to the bond market. Pay attention to what Scott Bessent is about to do. Educate yourself on inflationary US dollar that can just be printed, to debt-based society, in that your money is someone else's debt. Since 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, your dollars collapsed 99%. And now you'll see why countries all over the world are moving into Bitcoin. You'll see why the third wealthiest citizen in Mexico, a billionaire, said, I'm going 100% into Bitcoin. We've radically transformed our family's life by understanding cash flow, not cash, it's trash, moving that cash flow into deflationary assets. I use Bitcoin and XRP, I have many other cryptos as well. I use cash value life insurance, tax code 7702A, that was created in 1913, ironically when the Federal Reserve was created, where you can grow money tax-free, borrow from it tax-free, and pass it down tax-free. And then we use leverage. I use my insurance as my own bank, and I use my Bitcoin as my own bank. I no longer have to go to an actual traditional bank. And that's why they hate Bitcoin. That's why they hate crypto. First they resist it, then they sue it, then they regulate it, then they join it. Draper. We're now in regulation and joining phase. The freight train has left the building, as Rosie Rio said. I've said this, if you're either going to go on the ride and get on board and go on the ride of your life, you're going to get ran over by it, but everybody's going to be operating on this train. People who denied cryptocurrency, who told you it's a fraud, are actually going to be using it without even knowing it. You're going to own the rails or be consumed by them. Again, this is my opinion. Do your own research. I'm only telling you exactly what I do. I love you guys. Warriors, rise. Get your shit together. Let's go. God bless you. Christ is king.